are absolutely wonderful strengths in all these styles, and there are some major weaknesses. With the analyticals, they are very much in control of themselves. They don't share a lot of emotion. They don't share much of their feelings. They also are ask assertive, so they don't give you a lot of opinion. But analyticals are absolutely brilliant. Their specialty is process. Analyticals are the kind of people that you can go to and say, I really need to know what time it is, and they can tell you the history of clockmaking, and will. But they really know it. They are the people who understand the process, understand the details, and actually really make that process work. That's their real strength. Drivers, equally as in control of themselves as the analyticals, but much more tell-assertive. Their specialty is, in fact, control. Drivers are in total control of themselves. They are also very much in control of what's ever going on around them. Difference between an analytical and a driver I can think of, Captain Furillo is probably my favorite driver. I think he's wonderful. Joyce Davenport, his wife on Hill Street Blues, is also a driver. Contrast that with someone like Dr. Spock, or Mr. Spock, any Star Trek weirdos? Mr. Spock is a classic stereotypical analytical. Very much in control of himself, no emotion, but he knows the process and he knows exactly how it needs to be done. Contrasted with the drivers who don't really care about the process. The thing that a driver always is looking for are the results. Now, the analyticals will talk about the bottom line. But when they say bottom line, what they're really thinking is the whole process that got us to the bottom line. I mean, that's back there. When a driver talks about results, they're talking about, I don't care how we get there, this is what I want and this is when I want it. These groups of people are the ones that when we look at them appear to be very much in control of themselves. Now let's look at these other folks, the more casual, easier, more feeling, relationship-oriented people, the amiables and expressives. Okay. Expressives are as tell-assertive as the drivers. They do want to run the world. But they are very emote responsive, and so they will do it by making friends, by social kinds of activities. And in fact, that's their specialty. They are the social experts. They're the ones that will walk into a cocktail party like we had Monday night and make sure within 10 minutes they met everybody in the room and found out a little tidbit, okay, and gotten a smile and a handshake. Okay, those are the folks. They do want to run the train just as much as the drivers do, but they compulsively have to turn around every once in a while and say, aren't we all having a good time? One word you'll hear from expressives over and over and over again is fun. It's got to be fun or they're not going to play. Okay? Very, very relationship-oriented. Now, equally relationship-oriented, but in a different way, are the amiables. Amiables don't appear to want to run the world. Now, we do believe that Ronald Reagan is an amiable, so it doesn't mean they don't run the world. It's just that their approach to it, they're nice. Amiables are the ultimate in giving support to other people. They are the perfect team players because they really like that kind of a relationship better than anything else. Their specialty is giving support to the team, taking care of the really true personal issues. One of the things that I hear amiables say a lot is they evaluate other people in terms of how they trust them. Trust is a biggie for amiables. And they will kind of put you through your paces to find out if they can in fact trust you. They will do some things to check that out. They are the ones who can hold a group together out of, it seems like, just sheer niceness. I mean, you just trust those people. because they won't do you dirt. They'll be there when you need them. They like a very strong one-on-one relationship where the expressives really want everybody to like them a little bit. The amiables want a few select people to really care about them and really have a very close relationship. I do want to tell you, though, my favorite part, and that's the major weaknesses of each style. Guess I got to start with my own first. The major weakness of an expressive is that we really need to be liked. We will expend enormous amounts of energy getting everybody in the world to like us. And we will concentrate on that, sometimes to the point of not getting work done when it's crucial work. So it's a real weakness we have. The amiables have a real need to be loved. And amiables can get caught up in trying to get a couple of strong personal relationships going and not get any work done either. Okay? The analyticals' real weakness is they need to be right. They can't stand being wrong. They just can't deal with it. Just like an expressive can't deal with somebody not liking them. And the drivers absolutely need to win. There is no losing with a driver. Drivers will be wrong in order to win. Analyticals will lose in order to be right. A friend of mine who's an analytical, she's absolutely wonderful. But she'll walk away from a situation saying, well, that's fine, I give you all of that. All I want you to do is admit that I was right. What I'd like to do is, rather than tell you what amiables want and need and what drivers want and need, is have you tell each other. So what I want to do is, don't move right now, but I want to have the drivers over there, the expressives over here, the amiables in this corner, and the analyticals up here. And I'm going to give you some questions to answer as a group. I'm going to ask you to easel your answers and railroad someone to come up and tell us what your group came up with as answers, okay? I love this exercise. Where did my easel go? Because what it does is say what all the research indicates. I mean, it's amazing how research validates what we all know, right? Analyticals measure their personal value, their own self-esteem, by their activities. And the more activities they have, the better they feel. The fewer activities, the worse they feel. When you're talking to an analytical, you want to talk to them in terms of the process. How are we going to do it? And you want to lay out all of those details that they came up with and have answers for them. When you're trying to get an analytical to make a decision or take a risk, and I've got to tell you something, people who are ask assertive are often perceived as being either risk averse or unwilling to make a decision. Now that's the perception. It isn't true. There seems to be no correlation between risk-taking and decision-making and how it's perceived, but often we'll feel like analyticals won't make a decision because they want a little more evidence. Take them evidence and offer your services in order to get a decision. Okay? With the drivers, they measure their personal value by results. And I worked with a woman driver, and she said, you got to know. I know whether I earned those results or not. And if I didn't earn them, don't reward me. I want you to know what my results really were. And so you want to talk to them. That's how they measure their own personal self-esteem. You want to talk to them about what you want, not how you want it. Drivers will try anything, do anything. They appear to be very risky people. What they're really trying to get at is the end result. And when you deal with them and want them to make a decision, don't walk in and say, here's what we're going to do. Give them 2 or 3 options and tell them what you think the probabilities of success are. And then let them decide. Expressives also don't like to have decisions made for them. And I always throw this in. Expressives measure their personal value by the amount of applause they receive. And I always throw it in hoping that at the end of this, I'll get a nice round of applause. Okay, so you got to know that's... They do want the public recognition. I mean, they're the ones that'll show up for testimonial dinners and love it. They'd like to have people know what they're doing and recognize them for it. When you talk to expressives, they really do want to know who the players are, because they're going, do I like them, do I not like them? Are they influential, are they not influential? Is this going to be fun, is it not going to be fun? Again, high relationship. Give them testimonials from people they know or famous people, and give them some incentives. Could be money, but you kind of need to negotiate that with them. For the amiables, they measure their personal value by the amount of attention they receive. Amiables require that kind of genuine, sincere attention in order to feel comfortable with you. If they get it, they feel better. If they don't get it, they feel worse and probably won't end up trusting you. You want to talk to amiables about why. Why we're going to do this. They'll probably know, have a lot of questions about impacts on the people involved and whether it's going to be good or bad. And again, since they're perceived to be risk averse, when you want them to make a decision, you want to offer them a lot of guarantees that this is going to be good or beneficial for the people involved. And you want to give them a lot of assurances that you'll be there supporting them. Let's talk about conflict. Now, what we have, and what the Thomas Kilmann thing is a way of looking at your habitual behavior in a conflict situation to get a feel for how you prefer to behave in a conflict situation. Some people may describe it as, it's conflict, I hate it, I don't want to have anything to do with it, I'll give them anything they want to get this over with. Okay? Other people will think about it in terms of, nah, I'm going to win. I'm going to get the most dimes or the most quarters. Okay? What your Thomas Kilmann is going to give you is information about your own personal preferences in dealing with conflict. Interestingly enough, though, it is measured on 2 different behavioral dimensions. They'll look real familiar. Assertiveness, which means in this the same thing as it means in the one we just finished. How much effort am I perceived, or how much effort am I willing to make to get my own needs taken care of? Or how little effort am I going to expend to get my own needs taken care of? The other one in the instrument is called cooperation. You can cross it out and write in responsiveness if you want to, because it looks the same. How little energy do I expend in being cooperative with other people, in getting other people's needs met, or how much energy do I expend in getting other people's needs met? There are 5 different ways of dealing with conflict that the instrument describes. The first one is obviously the competitive. People who walk into a conflict situation and describe it as win-lose, who are most concerned about getting their own needs met and very little concerned about anybody else, would be described as competitive. Now, the thing I've got to warn you about is competitive is a very appropriate way of dealing with conflict under some circumstances. Okay? Over here, people who are equally concerned with getting their own needs met, but have a real high concern for getting other people's needs met, are called the collaborators. These are the folks who will walk into a situation and say there has got to be a way for everybody to get what they want. And they will approach a conflict situation as a problem to be solved, a resolution to be arrived at, if we can find the way to do that. They really want everybody to get what they want. Equally concerned about other people, but almost no concern